Hello everyone, welcome back to Gavra Racing. This is the GT7 stream from round number 7, GT7 round 7, season 1 at Dragon Trail Seaside. Tonight we've got 11 drivers on the grid, but which one will be able to take the top step of the podium and win this race? Going into this one, we've got quite a few still in the hunt for the drivers' standings, as you are aware. Well, you can probably tell that no one is moving. The race has started. It's not a glitch. It's because this is the race replay. Once again, back at it again with another race replay because once again, I am on the grid. Just about seeing me there towards the back in the midfield in P number 7. I'm going to give it a few minutes. So if you're watching this back on either YouTube or Twitch and it's not live, then just feel free to skip a couple of minutes into the video because we're going to give it a bit of time to get everyone into the stream. But if you want to hear about qualifying, I'm going to go through qualifying at the start of the stream whilst we just get everyone into the stream, because usually they have 20 minutes of qualifying. We don't have that today. We did have it on Friday when the race was live, but obviously no qualifying in the race replay. So let's go through the grid whilst talking about qualifying. So we've got Dan Schneider tonight, who has lined up on the front row of the grid alongside Tim, the Dutchman taking his first pole position of the season, I believe. And Tim starts up alongside him in second place. Dan Schneider, though, was on pole by quite a bit. I should have got the qualifying times up before starting the stream. That would have been very helpful indeed. Let's actually do that right now whilst we get people tuning in to the stream. Hello, everyone. Welcome. How are you guys doing? Let me know in the chat how you're doing today. And I can just find among my many photos the qualifying results, because I took a screenshot of it before to prepare for this moment, although I'm not very prepared for this moment indeed. Hello everyone, welcome tuning in. 11 drivers on the grid. We've got 32 laps of Dragon Trail, but who is going to win this race? If you haven't seen the race results, or you're not a driver and you don't know the results, let me know in the chat who you think is going to win this race. If I can just quickly find... here they are. Here we go. So Dan Schneider took pole position ahead of Tim, as previously stated. But how much did he do it by? He took pole position with a 1 minute 34.6. Pretty impressive lap time from him. That was on the soft tyres. All the drivers doing their qualifying on the soft tyres. Welcome everyone joining us in the chat. We'll give it just a few more minutes to get people in. Oh no, I don't have the qualifying times. I've got the grid order, but the qualifying times haven't actually loaded. That is just wonderful, because obviously it's a practice session, not actually qualifying. But I believe he took pole position by about 2/10 over Tim. We've got Finn in 3rd place, Toussaint in 4th, Bon Evil in 5th, Cameron Kaboom in 6th, myself in 7th place, Tiger in 8th, Pierre in 9th, Andy in 10th, and Andy in 10th, and Ted in 11th place. So we'll just give it a few more seconds to get everyone in. Actually, let's go through the standings. By the time we've gone through the standings, it would be time to get this race underway. So going into this race, Toussaint leads the championship over his rival Finn by 1 singular point, and only 1 position separates them on the grid before the race tonight. Tim in 3rd place. He missed the first 2 races of the season, but is still within a good chance of taking this championship. He's 24 points off the lead, 23 off Finn in 2nd. He sits in 3rd place. Bon Even in 4th on 95, Pierre in 5th on 85. So it's still really close between the top 5. Tiger on 72 points in 6th. So the top 6 are still really close to one another. And if someone in the chat could let me know if my audio is all A-OK, because I don't want to stream with bad audio, and then we can get this race underway. I will also do a little audio test myself. Audio is fine, so you know what? Let's not do an audio test, because I trust the viewers. I think we've waited long enough to get people in. We've got a decent number of people in, so let's get this race underway. I'm actually going to have a quick drink before, so I don't die off the start. with Dragon Trail Seaside. It's a track full of uncertainty. Who knows who is going to take the victory in this race? It's a race that could be filled with a lot of carnage and chaos. So without further ado, let's get these lights turned on. As the lights begin to count down for round number 7, 5.2 kilometres of this circuit, 17 corners, 32 laps, and it's the lights out, and away we go. Dan Schneider leads the field away from pole position. It's a good start from Tim, who now takes the lead of the race. Tiger up into 6th place, challenging Bon Evil in 5th. It's a good start from him from the 4th row of the grid. Tim in towards turn 1, takes the lead of the race. They're 3 wide in the background. Dan Schneider on the outside of Finn. Tim in the middle as well. Contact as the Mustang has almost sent it into a half spin, but gets collected by the Mercedes. Bon Evil's going to try and capitalise and go round the outside. They're 3 wide, going in towards turn 4 to the right-hander. You don't usually see 3 cars going wheel to wheel into here, but Cameron gets his way up into 5th place. Now Bon Evil will try to send one down the inside of Finn in the Mustang. These two now going to go wheel to as we go down the hill in towards turn 7, and the left-hander of turn 8. Finn on the inside of Bon Evil, who swoops it around the outside, and that's Ted getting ahead of ND in the background in the Subaru, up in towards 10th place as the drivers make their way down the hill in towards the fast-flowing corner of turn 11 into the right-hander hairpin of turn 12. A good overtaking opportunity, as in the background we've got Tiger Assassino ahead of Cameron, who hits the back of Bon Evil, who hits the back of this carnage in the background. Damage for the BMW Vexnatic. Does Finn have damage? No, he doesn't. Piero also getting a lot of damage after being hit by Ted in the back. He's got front bumper damage, but carnage at the hairpin. Not too sure what happened there as they make their way through Death Chicane for the first time this race. Turns 15 and 16, who I don't think everyone made it out cleanly. It looks like Cameron Finn hit the wall. He's got damage, as there goes Bon Evil and Tiger Assassin. Now they're going side by side. Bon Evil now sending one to the inside of Cameron Kaboom, up into 4th place, but can Cameron do the old switcheroo? Does so on the Genesis. Sorry, bear with me for just 2 seconds. I can feel myself losing it. Just need a quick refresher. So I guess the benefit of the replay. Apologies about that. And that could happen a few times this race. Tiger Assassin now alongside the Genesis of Bon Evil as they make their way through the kink of right-hander. That is turn 1. Cameron Kaboom, does he go defensive to the inside, or they're going to go 3 wide in towards turn 1? Bon Evil just backs out a bit in the end. Tiger now to the inside of turn 1, out there, turn 2 outside for turn 3. Cameron Kaboom gets the move done, but is Bon Evil going to send it? They're making 3 wide once again in towards turn 5. Not like another corner. You see the drivers go 3 wide, and here goes Finn to the inside of Tiger Assassin. Can X90G and the BMW find a way through? Tucks in behind for now, has ND on his right hand side. They're going 2 by 2 down the hill of turn 7 in towards turn 8. Tiger on the inside of Finn, Natty on the inside of ND. Those two making up positions into 6th and 8th place as Tim, the top 3, can extend their advantage out in front. Dan Schneider challenging his fellow Mercedes driver in towards the hairpin of turn 12. To the inside, the 2 Mercedes going wheel to wheel on the exit of the corner as they make their way approaching Death Chicane, turn 14, 13 to 16. These 2 corners aren't the issue though. It's the 2 corners that follow. Can the top 3 make it through cleanly? They do on this occasion. What about the driver, the pack behind, led by Cameron Kaboom? Bon Evil in 4th place. And Cameron has hit the wall on the outside. He's hit Bon Evil, but I don't think he's got damage. Tiger's got damage. He might have hit the wall as well and could be under pressure from the BMW chasing behind as they go wheel to wheel. ND and Finn now going side by side. Does Finn have damage? Don't think Finn has damage, but Natty to the inside of Tiger. He's got a little bit deep, drifting his way through the final corner. That's how you make an overtake down towards the final corner at turn 17, but he's going to be under pressure from the Mercedes, which is quick in a straight line, although with front bumper damage its straight line speed will be affected. He pulls over to the inside at turn 1, but can't quite find the speed to get in front. What about in towards turn 2? Tucked back in behind into the slipstream as Finn goes down the inside of ND, who has the inside line now for turn 3. Can ND hold P7? Doesn't look like he can. The Mustang making up ground and up into 7th place. Meanwhile, the front 3 continuing to pull away from the chasing pack behind. As it looks like Pierre has got himself up in ahead of ND now, up into P8 as the Nissan drops down to P9. Dan Schneider, after the first few laps, has got the fastest lap. Here goes Ted now to the inside of ND, takes it onto the grass. Cameron Kaboom now goes round the outside of the Subaru and up into P10. pack still fairly close to each other. We've still got lots of battles out on the circuit as things stand. Tim leading the field away at the end of lap 3. We ride on board now with Tiger Assassins closely following that BMW through dash chicane as the BMW has certainly died. Front bumper damage and suspension damage to both front wheels. That is what the second victim already at this circuit, down at Death Chicane, and it's a track that really punishes mistakes and a track where many mistakes can be made. Cameron Kaboom also hitting the Death Chicane. Once again, he's got front bumper damage to his suspension as well. It's an absolute crazy start to this race, and trust me, that's not the only bit of contact that will be made in this race. Hello Gav in the chat as well. I only just realised it is a Sunday. I was out karting yesterday, which is why I couldn't do the stream yesterday. So I've done it today, and I was like, oh, it's Sunday, the Weekend League starting. So make sure to check that out later tonight. The F1 Weekend League, I believe it starts off in Bahrain. Can't quite remember where it finishes. I believe it's Abu Dhabi, but that could be wrong, and it probably is wrong. As here we go, X90 now to the inside of ND, down towards turn 6, gets the move done. They're still going to go wheel to wheel though on the exit, down towards the downhill right-hander before approaching the S's. ND with the inside, Natty in the BMW swoops round the outside and gets himself up into 8th place. And I might just comment, to make it clear, you might notice a different livery on the BMW. It's a custom Sebastian Vettel tribute for this race, and for this race only. It is the race weekend that Sebastian Vettel makes his final F1 appearance for now, unless he returns in the future. That looked like someone putting it in the wall. Could have just been, I think that might have been Dan Schneider making a slight mistake, or is it Tim drifting? I saw an arrow going slightly sideways through the chicane, and that's more damage for Finn as he's hit the barrier on the outside. And there's ND drifting his way, and he's got rear bumper and rear right suspension damage. It's such a punishing track, and that is two drivers in only two laps on the same lap that has collected damage at the exit of the Death Chicane. There is a reason it's called Death Chicane. The quicker you take it, the more risky you pose of hitting the barrier, losing it on the exit curb as Piero now goes down the inside of Finn in towards turn 2, gets ahead before, in towards turn 1, gets ahead before turn 2. As Natty remains ahead of Ted going through the first sector on lap 5 of 32, and it's starting to get a little bit overcast. Unfortunately though, it cannot rain at this track. It can rain at other configurations of Dragon Trail, but not Dragon Trail Seaside, a made up track based on a real life location in Croatia. Not Switzerland, that is Deep Forest Raceway. Unfortunately, there are no gaps, driver intervals on the left-hand side of the leaderboard, because this is a race replay, and the intervals for some reason aren't on the replay mode feature, but you can see the mini-map in the top right-hand corner of the screen to see how close drivers are to each other. As Tim makes his way through Death Chicane, he survives. Dan Schneider survived, yes, he survives. It's almost like going through qualifying and seeing if drivers are making it out of Q1 or whatnot. As Bon Evil doesn't survive, he hits the wall on the right-hand side, Tiger getting out of shape on the exit as well, but all drivers behind making their way through the chicane nicely. That was really close from the BMW, but that is a bit too close for Cameron Kaboom in the Porsche, getting more damage to his car, running in 10th place in this race, and could be under pressure from ND by the time they get to turn 1. Does the Nissan send one into the final corner? ND's ran wide, Cameron Kaboom's ran wide, ND's got ran wide, he's kept it nice and close to the exit. Can he get a good run though? He's got until about turn 1 before the damage repairs itself on that Porsche. Ride on board with the Nissan, continuing to get on board with the Nissan. He's got a good run, he's got a good toe, he's got a good slipstream as they make their way now in towards turn 2. Can ND swoop one around the outside? Becomes the inside for turn 3, and it's a beautifully executed move from the Irishman. Can Cameron Kaboom then make his way back up into 10th place? He's going to have a look for the outside, but not on this occasion. ND keeps the position. Piero under pressure from Finn. Are they going to go wheel to wheel through the S's? We've seen it done before. This is a track that provides many great overtaking opportunities. You've got the first corner, well, the first proper corner of turn 2. If you get a good run from turn 6, you can overtake in towards turn 8, the hairpin of turn 12, and the hairpin of the final corner of turn 17. It's a track that's really punishing on driver errors. And there's one from the race leader, Tim, who's hit the inside wall at Death Chicane and consequently the outside wall at turn 16. And he's lost the lead of the race to Darren Schneider, who inherits first position. And Tim, that Mercedes, front bumper and suspension damage will cost him. By the time we got to turn 1, we got a spinner at the back. It's Finn. Finn spins and the smoke from the tyre wear kicking up. He drops down to 9th place with rear bumper and rear left suspension damage. That's again 2 mistakes in 1 lap. Well, 2 driver errors, sorry. It is a track that punishes pushing, but the drivers who win, the driver who wins this race will be the one who keeps it clean, who can push and be consistent lap after lap and keep it out of the barriers. Because we can go through where mistakes are possible. If we ride on board with someone who's just starting the lap, we can start with Natty's BMW. Get on that inside curb for turn 2 and 3, take too much curb, you'll spin here on that exit curb. That's one place. Drivers can make a mistake, technically 2. Turn 5, take too much of the inside curb, your car will be launched and you'll be sent to that crane where it will lift you out of the gravel and back onto the circuit. Not really a dry place where drivers make a mistake in this part of the lap, but one way you can make up a lot of time. Turn in too much too early, and well, you'll be launched off over to this side of the track, where you'll be launched over to that side of the track. But another place where drivers can make mistakes. Really easy to understeer, run wide onto the bit of gravel, where you'll be find yourself in the wall. The hairpin of turn 12 is probably the corner where you can make the least amount of mistakes, although if you turn in too early or brake too late, but that's kind of a normality with every corner at every track. Death Chicane, while approaching Death Chicane, this is the most punishing corner of them all, where a lot of time can be lost or found. I think that proves it right there. A little bit cautiously from myself, but you can see the exit curb as well, throwing the car out on the exit. But if you take it too quickly, you hit either the inside or the outside wall, and then there's the final corner. Meanwhile, they're 3 wide in the background with Cameron Caboom on the inside. Ted launches one to the inside. Can Finn go round the outside of all of them in the Subaru? Ted on the inside with the Mustang going round the outside of absolutely all of them from 10th to 8th. What a move from Finn towards the final corner of turn 17, who gets up into 8th place ahead of Cameron Caboom. Ted now down into 10th. As they start lap 8 of 32, with 25% of the way through this race, and the battle's not going to be over, with Cameron Caboom launching one to the inside, breaks a little bit too late, and Finn sets himself up for the old switchback move on the exit of the corner, but couldn't quite prepare himself for that move exactly, and maintains 9th place for now. The strategy for this race is an interesting one. It's the tyre degradation is really high. You can see the medium tyres already over 50% worn for some of these drivers, and we're only on lap 8 of 32, and this is the medium. There's still the softs and the hards to offer us. That's a big tank sapper, but a nice drift from the BMW M6 GT3 running in 7th place. Darren Schneider leads the field away from pole position, but he hasn't had the lead for the entirety of the race, as Tim got it on lap 1, but a mistake at Death Chicane demoted him down into 3rd place. The current championship leader Toussaint in 3rd, ahead of his rival Finn, who's not having a good race at all. He's down into 9th place and has collected damage, I think, twice at this very corner here. That would look like Ted almost hitting the inside barrier for his race. Thankfully he didn't. Tim is gaining on the race leader Dan Schneider as they make their way through turn 1. The gap only a couple of tenths of a second as Tim hunts to get the championship lead. He missed the first 2 races of the season, joined us for round 3, and from then on in he's had a pretty good season since. He's got 2 wins, 1 podium and 1 5th place, and in 4 races. That is very impressive. It puts him 3rd place in the standings. Quick look throughout the back of the field. Looks like everybody's just dropped off the back of Ted a little bit. Meanwhile, the fight for the lead continues to rage on. The 2 Mercedes AMGs now going side by side down the hill in towards turn 11, approaching the hairpin at turn 12. It's Tim on the outside, challenging for the lead of the race, and swoops around the outside of the Dutchman and takes the lead of the race back from Dan, who started this race in 2nd place, now finds himself in the lead of the race as they make their way through Death Chicane. Do they both survive? Indeed they do. Down Schneider just gave them outside barrier a little bit of a kiss, but nothing more. And that's all you need. As Bon Evil gives it more of a kiss, he gives it more of a slap in the face on both the entrance and the exit, as he gets front bumper and suspension damage, running in 4th place. But he's got a bit of a gap to Tiger Assassin, so should be good going in towards turn 1, although he's going to lose a little bit of time as the leaders continuing to extend their lead over to Saint in 3rd, but he's not out of the running just yet. You can see him in the background going through turn 1 now. The tyre wear starting to kick in for a lot of the drivers. Look at the front tyre wear on Dan Schneider's Mercedes compared to that of Toussaint in 3rd place. Bon Evil suffering from high tyre degradation as well as Nathaniel G, but Cameron Kaboom going in towards turn 1 under pressure from Finn, who's going down the inside of the Porsche, not on this occasion, as Ted is into the pits on lap 9. Coming off of the medium tyres. What tyres does he go on for? It's the soft compound tyres. It's softs for Ted. The strategy tonight is going to be an interesting one. We don't know. Well, tyre degradation is high, so strategy is completely going to be an unknown. Is it going to be medium, soft, or is it going to be a 3-stop for some? Let's look at the tyre wear on the BMW after lap number 10. The same of that on Dan Schneider's Mercedes. It's going to be tough to see if he can continue for another lap after this. We'll have to wait and see. So they make their way through the chicane for 10th time this race. They've got to negotiate these sets of corners 32 times, and doing it 32 times quickly and consistently as well as cleanly is going to be a tough job, especially on high tyre wear. Oh, and that's a big crash! A huge incident for Cameron Kaboom and both Finn. It's one that I think we've got to watch again, considering I missed it. Let's watch it once again from the perspective of Cameron Kaboom going into Death Chicane. Does he take it with too much speed? Yellow flags up ahead front. He hits the inside barrier, and I think Finn does the same. I think Finn had exactly the same crash as Cameron Kaboom, both of them at the Death Chicane. That's a lot of damage for Cameron Kaboom and a lot of damage for Finn, who gets overtaken by ND, now down to 9th place. As we've got Bon Evil into the pits off of the mediums. Is anyone else coming in? That's an X-Natty G on the inside of the white line. He's coming into the pits as well. Will Finn come into the pits? His tyre wear is actually fairly good in comparison to those around him. Cameron Kaboom, he's into the pits as well. The damage has been repaired as he comes into the pits, but also to change the tyres, and Ted has got damage as well to his bumper and suspension on his out lap half, just pitting for the soft compound tyres. Carnage in the midfield, as I think the top 5 are the only cars in this race who haven't yet hit the barrier at Death Chicane, apart from the current race leader, Attenborough, who did hit the barrier on the inside of turn 15. Let's have a look at the tyres. What has Bon Evil gone on to? He's gone on to mediums, whereas Natty's gone on to the softs. It's an aggressive strategy, I think, from the guys who are pitting at this phase of the race. Are we going to see 2 stops or 3 stops? Is it going to be a medium soft, medium soft, hard? Will we see the hard compound tyres as Dan Schneider's got a puncture to the front left? You can see there's a very small amount of white left on the tyre wear. There's about a couple of pixels. You can probably count the amount of pixels on one hand, as he will certainly be into the pits with a front left puncture. Oh, he stays out. He stays out with the puncture. Interesting. There aren't punctures in this game like there are in F1, but you certainly do feel it. Let's ride on board with the Mercedes just so you can see the lack of turning. And it might not be visible, but you could just see the underside of the car not turning for turn 3. In towards the kink of turn 4. Tiger and Piero into the pits. Their front left is completely screwed as well. ND putting Finn under a lot of pressure going in towards turn 1. ND having a really good race at the minute. Despite picking up damage, he's in 5th place. As you see, Natty now just filtering out behind Tiger, although he's a lot closer to the Mercedes than before they pit. So Could the aggressive 3-stop be the way to go? I mean, look how much time Dan Schneider's lost to Tim. It might not look like a lot, but Tim's also suffering from a lot of tyre wear. Looks like Two Saints gaining on Dan Schneider as well in this race, and it just makes every corner a lot harder when you've got a lot of tyre wear, especially to the point where you're risking a puncture. Gavra Boom saying that the grip didn't make it in an interesting face, how it felt different each lap. And for those drivers on the control, it's slightly more difficult to feel the effects of the tyre wear, and that is ND with front left suspension and aero damage, front bumper damage. So I think it's a likely assumption that he hit the outside barrier of turn 16 at the chicane. The front three into the pits off of the medium compound tyres. Looks like the drivers in second and third have been able to save a little bit more fuel than Tim, who's in and out of the pits in the lead of the race. Finn staying out from the start on those medium tyres, now inherits second place, but is a pit stop behind the race leaders, and in a race where he probably had hopes of gaining back the championship lead. It's not been a strong start to this race weekend. Gavra Boom in the chat also saying he probably went into the barrier at Death Chicane more times than everyone else this race weekend. I don't want to be harsh and say probably, because I wasn't particularly counting his Bon Evil's counting his positions going from 5th to 4th as he launches one to the inside of Piero in towards turn 6. That was a late move to the inside and made a little bit of contact front left to rear right, but gets it done up into 4th place. And Dan Schneider from 2nd place. He's put in fuel to go to the end of the race, I believe, and is filtered out behind this train of cars. And, well, you can see the difference between where Tim is. He's just gone through turn 12. Dan Schneider going down the hill, not even at turn 12 yet. So that's the different strategies. As the helicopter, my camera crew, flying very low to the circuit. As that's Tim getting out of shape on his outlap through Death Chicane. Finn, Two Saints going through it fairly quickly and cleanly. What about the cars behind in 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th? They all negotiate it cleanly. That's a nice power slide on the exit of the corner from Natty G. It's not the first and it won't be the last from this race. As here goes Tiger, I'm going to send one to the inside. Not on this occasion. The BMW's gone a little bit deep, almost onto the marbles at the final corner, but it will slingshot him for a good run down and towards turn 1. These two could be fairly close as we approach the apex in the first corner. Let's ride on board with the Mercedes. Driver's eye essentially, as you can see the closing speed of the Mercedes going to the outside at turn 1, becomes the inside line for turn 2. Can he get the move done? Late on the brakes for Tiger Assassin as he gets it done in towards the first corner, closes the door on the BMW, but all fair and lovely move from Tiger Assassin. Now up into 6th place and can close down this pack of 3 cars. That is Dan Schneider, Piero and Bon Evil. I don't think this battle is going to be done just yet between those two. Keep an eye on it throughout the course of the race as Bon Evil leads Piero, who leads Dan Schneider in the battle for the final podium position. The top front two begin to pull away, but different strategies in this race for a lot of the drivers. No moves from either driver. We've got Natty though trying to go round the outside of Tiger Assassin towards turn 12. Does the old switcheroo on the exit as they go side by side in the run up towards Death Chicane. You don't want to be going wheel to wheel through Death Chicane. It's now and impossible to do it quickly and cleanly, and that's a drift and a spin from Darren Schneider, who's in the barrier with rear bumper and suspension damage. Here come the closing drivers of Natty and Tiger in the BMW and the Mercedes respectively. They both swoop around the outside of the stricken Darren Schneider, who might try and force one back down to the inside of Natty as they both go wide, but it is the BMW who stays ahead of the Mercedes. Now finds himself in a Mercedes sandwich going down the start finish straight. A beautiful camera shot of the cars making their way in towards turn 1. Piero still behind Bon Evil going through the second corner, and it is Tiger who leads Natty, who now leads Dan Schneider from second in this race down to 7th before and after the pit stops. But just bear in mind the different fuel loads. You can see everyone with about half a tank. Dan Schneider with just over 75%, maybe about 80% of fuel going to the end of the race on the fuel, but certainly not the tyres, so we'll spend a lot less time in the pits than every other driver on the grid. Meanwhile, Finn in 8th place, ahead of Cameron Cabroom, ahead of Ted. The drivers really close to one another in this race. You can see Seaside about a second behind Tim for the lead. Piero about 7/10 behind for the podium position. Look how close every driver, I think, apart from ND, has got a companion about a second or two separating drivers on this grid. It is so close. This track really does actually provide a lot of close racing, but also punishes a lot of mistakes. A little brush off the barrier for Tiger as he leads Natty and Dan Schneider through the chicane. As Tim maintaining the lead of the race. It's been a good start to this race from Tim. Started on the front row and he's gone one more than that. He didn't quite get pole position in the end, but is in first place. As it stands, Seaside will be extending his lead in the Drivers' Championship. He goes into this race 1 point ahead of Finn, who's down in 9th place, trying to get his way ahead of Cameron Cabroom. Bonneville on the fresh softs, so on the medium tyres, staying ahead of Piero, who's on the softs. Tiger Assassin doing well to keep Natty and Dan Schneider behind. He's running in 5th place, but under a lot of pressure from 2 cars. I thought that was a little bit of a misinput from Dan Schneider, having a look at his throttle. Wasn't going full throttle, but I don't think he wanted to make the move going in towards turn 5. It is a track where if you go for a move in an unconventional corner, such as the middle sector, it can cost you quite a lot of time. Although you can go for clean moves in towards turn 6, you can probably lose a bit of time that you don't want to lose on drivers. I think they much prefer going through turn 2, 12 and 17, the 3 main overtaking opportunities. I don't know why I said overtaking twice. Here we go down towards turn 12. One of the 3 I just mentioned, Dan Schneider to the inside and ahead, up into 6th place now for the Mercedes. Driver will be trying to hunt back through the field. Is the pole position curse coming back into play here? We did have this thing for the first 5 rounds of the championship where the driver who started on pole position didn't even finish on the podium for said race. For the race they started on the front row, didn't finish in the top 3. Dan Schneider looking for a move on the inside of Tiger Assassin. The door was left wide open as Natty wants to get drifting his way through the final corner. Could be under pressure now from the BMW, who is gaining. The 2 teammates working together. Natty bump drafting Dan Schneider in towards turn 1 to give him the extra speed he needs to get ahead of Tiger Assassin to the inside. One Mercedes ahead of another, and that is beautiful teamwork from the BMW Mercedes team. And that BMW looks very tail happy on the exit of corners from Cameron Cabroom in the chat, and indeed it is. It is a beautiful car to drive through medium speed corners, but in the low speed corners, such as the final corner, it does like to get the rear out a little bit, but it's also, you know, it looks good. If you look good, that's all that matters. A little bit of a mistakes potentially from that BMW actually, as going a little bit deep in towards the right-hander of turn 9. If you mess up one of the SS section, that's a lunge to the inside. I completely forgot I'd done that. It's a lunge to the inside, but it's clean, it's beautiful, and it's a move that promotes Natty up into 6th place, using the inside curve as well. And that BMW now promoted up into 6th place, can hunt down his teammate Dan Schneider, a newly formed team, making their debut in Deep Forest Raceway as teammates. The new BMW Mercedes team. That actually sounds like quite a nice combination. BMW, or is it Mercedes BMW or BMW Mercedes? I'm not suggesting I'm the first driver by putting BMW ahead of Mercedes, as the BMW pulls into the pits off of the soft compound tyres. But you know how you have McLaren Mercedes or BMW Sauber, that type of thing. Is it BMW Mercedes or Mercedes BMW? Let me know in the chat which one sounds better for that particular team. A lot of some teams have the same car, such as Team BCR, which is a formally established team, as their sponsors suggest, on the side of the car. Maybe not on the side, on the front. There it is, on the bonnet. Also on the roof, but you can't quite see it with that cam angle. Don't know why have the pause in between cam and angle. Some words you can't do that. I nearly made that mistake during commentary. I took a break halfway through a word, but the first half of the word, all by itself, isn't family friendly. Let's put it that way. I won't say the whole. Let's put it this way. I was talking about countries, and it's probably going to stand out now every time I say the word countries. Or country. You can't take a break halfway through that word, especially during commentary. You could get yourself in a lot of trouble. Someone who could be in trouble, Camel Kaboom, with 2 punctures potentially on the front, on the left-hand side of the car. Yellow flags ahead. That's Tiger in the wall. And I wouldn't usually do this, but we've got a replay feature so we can skip 10 seconds in the past. Actually, no, this is my new replay feature essentially from GT Sport. Let's have a look and run on board with Tiger Assassin. What happened? We turned in too early. And he hit the barrier on the right-hand side, downshifting to reverse to try and get the car out of the barrier. And that's Camel Kaboom almost drifting his way through the dash chicane. Oh, I keep skipping past. I want the keyboard feature back. For those who didn't see the GT Sport Championship, or who didn't know about the GT Sport features, you can get a keyboard to connect to your PlayStation. Just plug it in. And rather than on controller, you have to skip through each and every camera angle like that. I could skip maybe to cockpit or chase cam without skipping it through. I know I've done it quickly just to kind of demonstrate it, but you have to flick through every camera controller. You couldn't do that on the keyboard. You could press, I think it was GHJKL on the keyboard for the different camera angles, and there was also a replay feature where I could skip 8, I think it was 5, 8 and 13 seconds in the past quickly, or I could save a moment in the race and watch it back later. So I'd do that by pressing Z. That would start the replay. So if, let's say I wanted to watch Tiger Assassin going through the SS section, I'd press Z now. And would like, oh, look at this Tiger Assassin going through the SS section, blah, blah, blah. Let's say it's going wheel to wheel. It's a beautiful move from Tiger Assassin, who's now up into 6th place. And then the move is over. I would press C if I wanted it to go further. I'd press V to go really far back. I'd press X to take it to when I press Z. And then I could watch it again. And we could have a replay feature. So when someone crashed, or I'd do it for the race starts, so when the 5 red lights went out, I would press Z on the keyboard, and then when all the racing actions happen, because you know at the start of the race there's often a lot of action, a lot of overtaking. When the gaps start to open out slightly, maybe like 4, 5, when there's 1 or 2 battles happening, but drivers are still really close together, I'd press X, C or V on my keyboard, and we'd go back and we could watch the race, the replay of the race start. And you know, it was a really cool feature that wasn't like, it wasn't in any patch notes, it wasn't in, you know, not many people knew about it. And then when I tried it for the mini season in round 1 at the Nürburgring, not even that, the first Daytona event that we done, I plugged the keyboard in, it didn't work. I hope they do bring it back, because it is a really cool feature. I could ride on board quickly. Let's say I wanted to get to the bonnet cam, I've now got to do this, but I could just press a button and we'd be on it. Another feature that I liked, rather than flicking through the grid like this, I could just press number 1 and we'd be on Tim, number 2 would be on Tuesday, number 3 would be on Bon Evil, and so forth. I could, rather than flicking through the field like this, I could just go to anyone I wanted. And then they removed my power, which I didn't like. But now that I've talked about power, not necessarily power, but the power of the keyboard in this. The old spectator. Whilst also promoting the spectator cam, I think I should also promote previous GT Sport seasons. If you haven't checked it out, I'd recommend you watch season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I was going to say N6, but this is technically season 6 of the GT League, but it's season 1 of GT7. Watch it. Watch the races in GT Sport, because honestly they were some of the best races I've commentated on. Don't watch season 1, because Tuesday won it, and also that was my first season in commentary. I wasn't very good. Pierre out to the inside of ND. No, go watch season 1. And Pierre gets the move done up into 7th place on those fresh, soft compound tyres. No, in all seriousness, go watch season 1. You can see how much things have changed. How much I've changed, how much the drivers have changed. The drivers that we've lost along the way, unfortunately. But the drivers who stayed with us from season 1. I've also just spoiled season 1 by announcing who won that season. But I've said it in the past. I've said in previous races who've won seasons. I think I said it in the Nürburgring as well, when Toussaint won in the first race of the season. So yeah, I wouldn't consider it a spoiler alert, especially when it happened 2 years ago. Can you believe it? It wasn't even nearly 3 years now. When we approach March 2023, roughly, then that would have been 3 years, I think, of the third year of the GT franchise here at Gavra Racing. Obviously, big shout out to Duke, who organised season 1, and then I took over for season 2, and here we are in season 6, essentially. I realise I've gone off on one. I'll do what I sometimes do, and that's a spin from Finn from 4th. Can he stay in 4th? He spins the car back round in the right direction, but it's the killer curb on the exit of Death Chicane that claims another victim. Bumper damage for the Mustang, and it's been a disaster from Finn. The number of times he's hit the wall or he span out on the exit is not what he would have wanted going into this race. A point behind the championship leader Toussaint, who's running in 2nd place, who's kept it clean for the entirety of this race. We've only got 10 laps to go. Technically 11 laps if we include the final lap. 22 of 32 in this race. As that is, who is this? This is Bonnie Evil gaining on ND. Seeing as we're towards the end of the race, let's go through the strategy. I think the top drivers done a medium soft. They committed to a 2-stop. We had drivers in the midfield. Bon Evil committing to a 3-stop. It was a medium soft, I believe. Bon Evil now to the inside of ND, gets up into 7th place. Beautiful move down towards turn 5. Didn't look like ND on the worn mediums was to find that one too much. Oh no, sorry, I think Bonnie done a medium, soft. Yeah, that was it. Started in the mediums, pitted for mediums, then went to softs, and then finished on the softs. Myself, I went for pretty much a gamble, essentially. I went for medium, soft. As it's great to know that I've just gotten a notification saying that we're live, although I've been watching the race on Twitch for the start, so that's a lie. Pierre now gaining on Tiger Assassin as they make their way through Death Chicane once again. Pierre on a fresh set of the soft compound tyres. Tiger on worn mediums. Could be vulnerable to car number 41 as he closes in on car number, I want to say 9. And yeah, I was right on car number 9. As the car coming into the pits, it's Finn off of the soft compound tyres. Tiger leads Piero going in towards the turn 1. Down the start finish straight they go. Can Piero get ahead of Tiger on this occasion? Sends one late on the brakes in towards turn 1. There might have been a little bit of contact, but the McLaren gets ahead of the Mercedes. And apologies, Kamikabu and Piero were also on a 3-stop, according to the man in himself, currently running in 9th place. On a set of the soft compound tyres, Finn now out of the pits on a set of the red striped soft compound tyres. It'll be a stretch to get them to the end of the race from here, but he's going to do his best to try and make it work. Or myself to the inside of ND. There's an open door and he's going to go for it in the BMW. Side by side, door to door, nearly touching as they possibly bang wheels. Couple of atoms separating the two drivers. Nutty, can he do what he done in the opening phase of the race? Swoops around the outside and gets up into 7th place. And now we'll be hunting down Bon Evil and Tiger Assassin, who both will be pitting towards the end of this race. ND not looking to send one on the inside at the hairpin of turn 12. As the leaders continue to lead this race. And look at that gap that Tim's got over Toussaint. Tim's going through turn 5. Toussaint's going through turn 1. Tim with a massive margin, massive lead in this race. Tiger now into the pits, off of the medium compound tyres. We'll finish this race on a set of the softs, I would imagine. It's ND with bumper damage. He might have hit the wall on the exit of turn 16 like many a driver have done tonight. Tim looks like he could be into the pits at the end of this lap. He hasn't got a lot of fuel left in the tank. We're approaching the end of this race. 75% of the way through this race as we're on lap 24 of 32. We're approaching the 40-minute mark. And we haven't got many on-track battles for now. The closest probably between ND and Cameron Caboon, but this is all due to the different strategies. We've got the 2 stoppers and the 3 stoppers. That was Cameron Caboon getting a little bit out of shape on the exit of turn 6. But yeah, back to the strategy. You see we've got Tiger up down into 10th place. He's got to work his way through the field, which means overtaking. And this is what different strategies often lead to. No action, well, little bits of action in the middle of the race, but plenty of it at the end. Tim running low on fuel. He doesn't want to run out. As Toussaint is into the pits, so is Dan Schneider. Tim staying out for another lap, although Dan doesn't have to put in a lot of fuel. We've got someone off at the chicane. Oh, there's pandemonium. What's happened? What has happened? Andy ahead. First we've got, oh, there's a spinner. We've got to go back further. Look at, there's a drift from ex-Natty G through on the exit of turn 12. But what has happened on now 24? When there's often lots of action. It's on the entry curb for Natty. It's a big crash, a huge accident for ex-Natty G, and lots of smoke from the back of the car, and then Andy and Cameron Caboon having an incident through death chicane themselves. But the helicopter flying over quickly, and it's a 3-second time penalty for Cameron Caboon. Now, was that for corner cutting or a collision? Or was that for cutting the pit lane entrance? I'm not too sure how he's got that. But that's ex-Natty G into the pits. Andy follows him in at the end of lap 24, but a big crash from Natty and Andy. And that's not what Natty needs, and I can tell you for now, well, I can tell you for sure, sorry, having, being the comment of ignoring yellow flags. Oh, yeah, so Cameron could be getting a 3-second time for ignoring yellow flags. So he overtook under the yellow flags. That was my fault, and I take full responsibility. Although I crashed, and there's not much I could do about it, although I did crash, so it is my fault. Although, yeah. You know what I mean, no overtaking on the yellow flags, you naughty, naughty boy. I think I should disqualify you from this race for that. I mean, to be fair, a 3-second time penalty for overtaking on the yellow flags is nothing compared to what happened in Deep Forest Race. We had a marshal running in the pit lane as Piero was coming in. The health and safety. Wow. But yeah, the 3-second time penalty for ignoring the yellow flags is unfortunate, especially when you're caught up in a collision yourself. Tim into the pits with no fuel in the tank. And, well, I'll tell you now, you'll see how the race unfolds later. This is where I am on track going through the middle sector. This is where Tiger Assassin is, at the end of the S's section. And had I not had that spin, things could be different, as you can see. Well, you'll see as the race goes on in the battle for what will be 7th place. Cameron Caboon serves his penalties. He says something in the chat. To be fair, it would have been pretty hard not to overtake Andy when he was in the wall. Yes, that is something that, yes. It's pretty hard to overtake someone when they are in the wall. Piero exits the pit lane ahead of Cameron Caboon, but with the overspeed from the final corner, the Porsche to the inside, down towards turn 2, but is on significantly worn soft tyres, and will probably be into the pits at the end of this lap. Natty gets ahead of Ted at the final corner, and that's Cameron Caboon off ending round, down towards 7th place, and is facing the wrong way. Another car, another corner, another victim at this circuit. Gets overtaken by Tiger Assassin, who gets promoted up into 7th place. Dan Schneider gets ahead of Bonnie, will down towards the hairpin of turn 12. The helicopter getting a really good shots of this as they fly low at the entrance to turn 13, down ahead of Bon Evil. As Tim's got damage. Tim's got front bumper and suspension damage. He's lost it somewhere in the chicane. Bon Evil now challenging Dan Schneider on his worn soft compound tyres for 2nd place. down the inside and towards the final corner, down with the switchback move, as Bonnie now is into the pits off the softs and will probably finish this race on a set of the soft compound tyres. Toussaint will retake P3 in this race as Tim continues to lead this race, making his way through turn 1. We've got someone spinning at the back. That's Cameron Caboon with rear bumper damage. He's got 2 punctures to the left hand side of his car once again, and will probably, most likely, definitely be into the pits at the end of this lap. The pole position curse was broken in Deep Forest Raceway, where the pole sitter played Dutchy finished on the podium. He finished in P3. Can Dan Schneider go one further and potentially win this race? He's on older soft compound tyres, but never say never. 6 laps to the end of the race, and we've got Piero gaining on Bon Evil, Natty gaining on Tiger Assassin. The gap is about 9, well, I can tell you what it was 8 seconds, about 9-8 seconds when leaving the pit lane. Let's just keep an eye on that gap throughout the course of the end of the race. A mistake from Tim, another mistake, the second and 2 laps, drifting his way through Death Chicane. A poor exit will allow Dan Schneider to start closing that gap. Was that someone else in the wall? Bonnie Evil in the wall. That's Bonnie in the wall with front bumper and front left suspension damage. That's going to help Piero gain in on this battle for 4th place in this race. Anyone else having incidents at that part of the circuit? Doesn't look like it. But Tim making his way through the first sector, towards the end of the first sector, in the lead of the race. I don't know what the gap is between the front two, but it is certainly about, let's have a look, let's count from the apex of this corner. So let's go from that curb. So 0, 1, 2, 3, it's about 3-4 seconds between Dan Schneider and Tim, and the race is coming to an end. Only 4 or 5 laps to go in this race, and the gaps are coming down over a lot. Well, sorry, how do I say this? There are a lot of drivers gaining on each other towards the end of the race. We've got Dan gaining on Tim, we've got Piero gaining on Bon Evil, we've got Natty gaining on Tiger Assassin. 3 battles which Tim's in the wall! Tim is in the wall, the race leader's crashed, and he's in reverse, luckily to avoiding Dan Schneider. He's got a bumper and suspension damage. That is a race leader in the wall. With only 4 laps to go, Dan from pole position now takes the lead of the race once again on lap 28 to 32. And that is 2 mistakes at Death Chicane in 2 or 3 laps from Tim. And he has lost first place, which he's held for so long in this race. Meanwhile, Tiger being the gap between Tiger and Natty coming down, the gap between Pierre and Bon Evil coming down as well. The McLaren doing its best to gain on Bon Evil and finish in 4th place. What about Toussaint and Tim? The gap closing as well, is Tim starting to struggle from tyre wear, although the fresh soft tyres is pushing a little bit too hard towards the end of this race. It's another off from Tim. He's in the gravel being kicked up onto the circuit as Tim finds himself off of the tarmac into the gravel. Luckily the gravel doing its job, slowing him down, and is not in the wall. Green flags are now being waved, but Toussaint's Tim's lost another position. It's about 20 seconds worth of race time lost in 3 or 4 racing laps. He's gone from 1st to 3rd due to driver errors. 2 at turn 16, 1 at turn 6, taking too much of the inside curb, which I talked about at the start of the race. But Dan Schneider now leads this race, and he's got a comfortable gap to Toussaint behind, but he's lost the rear at the exit of turn 16. This is a dramatic end to the race. Can Dan Schneider win his first race of the season after starting it on pole position? Would he be the first driver to convert pole to a win in this GT7 season? We'll have to wait and see. He owns the fastest lap of the race so far. Could he be the first driver to get a Grand Slam, pole, win, and the fastest lap? We'll have to wait and see. Look how much that gap has come down. Also in the battle for 7th place between Natty and Tiger Assassin, brushing the wall on the exit of turn 16. Piero gaining on Bon Evil, although I think the gap is starting to stabilise. It's the new personal best for Bon Evil at the end of lap 30. Tim now is going to be pushing to try and regain the positions he's lost. I think 2nd place is now the realistic target for the Finnish driver. I like to call him the flying Finn, although he has been flying, but in the wrong reasons. Over the curb at turn 5, also taking a trip to the barriers, Death Chicane. Meanwhile, that Mercedes is starting to become a visible object for the BMW driver. You can just about see him up the road going through turn 5 and 6. Piero pushing to try and gain on Bon Evil. He's got less fuel than the Genesis, so although has got less tyre wear, so about even in terms of pace. Someone in the pits. Who's in the pits? It's Ted. For a fresh set of the soft comfort tyres, going for the fastest lap. He's got a 3-second time penalty going over the white line. Tim is pushing so hard to try and gain what he's lost in this race. Piero pushing to get 4th place. Natty pushing to finish in the top 7. A race where he's also had many of incidents, not as many as cars around him, but he's been caught up in action as well. Was behind ND when he hit the wall, he was behind Finn when he hit the wall. He's hit the wall, he spanned, Finn is spanned, his Finn's hit the wall, ND's hit the wall, Cameron Kaboom's hit the wall, Ted's hit the wall, Dan's hit the wall, Tim's hit the wall, Bonnie's hit the wall. I'm not sure about Piero. Don't know about Tiger Assassins, but I think Tiger has hit the wall. I think every driver of this race has hit the wall or been involved in a spin or an incident at some phase in the race. Not sure about Piero though. He's been one driver who I think has kept it clean and consistent throughout, but I can't guarantee that fact. But it is a track. It doesn't look like it. You might not think of it as one to be as punishing as Monaco, but trust me, it is one where driving mistakes will happen. In over one lap, over 100 laps, there will be at least one mistake, one driver error that will cost someone dearly, as we've seen tonight. It's cost Dan, it's cost Tim, it's cost a lot of drivers on this grid. But Tim is pushing so much. The gap coming down between him and Toussaint. The gap between Tiger and Natty is about a couple of seconds. You can see both of them going through turn 12 now, but the tyre wear on both drivers is heavily significant. Well, the tyre degradation is pretty high. Darren Snyder though, he starts the last lap of the race in the lead. He started in pole. Tim now has the fastest lap of the race, and with the tyre wear kicking in, it doesn't look like it'll be a Grand Slam. We're still waiting for the Grand Slam in the GT7 leagues. Who will be the first to claim it? Unfortunately, it won't be Dan Schneider, but he could claim his first win of the season, his first GT7 win for Gavra Racing. This in the GT7 league, in a championship where we've had many different winners: Toussaint, Tim, Dutchy, Finn. You name them. We could be about to add one more to the list. Could the battle for 7th place change? Could the battle for 4th place change? Piero looks like he's just been dropped by Bon Evil ever so slightly. The gap's closing for 2nd place as well. But for one man, well, if it's not Dutchy finishing on the top step of the podium, it's going to be another Dutchman. But we've got to credit the result from Darren Schneider, taking Death Chicane about 120 miles per hour. If we just have a look at Finn and Tim and Toussaint for comparison, it's about 137 for Tim, taking through Death Chicane. And look at the speed that Tim's got on Toussaint. I can't even speak at the end of the race. But the battle for 2nd place could still change with Tim trying to go round the outside of Toussaint. But we quickly look to see the celebration of Dan Schneider, who wins from pole here at Dragon Control's Seaside from pole to victory. His first win of the season is a drag race for a second, which Seaside wins. He extends his championship's lead, with Tim falling out in third place after leading for so long. Bon Evil beats Piero to fourth place as the Frenchman finishes in fifth. Finn and a miraculous recovery into sixth place with 2 punctures to the left hand side of the car. Tiger with 2 punctures finishes in seventh place ahead of Natty with not 1, not 2 but 3 punctures to his damaged BMW after pushing for so much in this race. A lot of drivers this race really did give it 110%, and that was evident in the amount of mistakes and crashes we had. We still got another battle yet to be decided for a 10th place. Ted trying to go for Forest lap, unfortunately couldn't get it in the end, but could he get another point in this race? Closing in on camera, Kaboom goes defensive to the final corner. The Porsche versus the Subaru. It's a switchback attempt from Teddy. Hasn't quite got the run he probably would have wanted through the final corner, but through turn 17 for the final time in this race, up to the line, and it's 10th for Camera Kaboom and 11th for Ted. And I pause it just so it doesn't go onto the main menu screen. But wow, what a race! What a race! An amazing race from all the drivers tonight. Dan Schneider with his first win of the season. An amazing drive from the Dutchman. Puts himself up into 7th place in the championship after 4 races this season. A really good drive from Dan. Toussaint in 2nd place, extends his championship lead over Finn, who finishes in 6th. Just about beat Tim to the line, although it could have been a slightly different story had Tim not made those mistakes, but it's a punishing track. Bon Evil beating Piero to 5th place, to 4th place, sorry. Piero finishes in 5th, ahead of Finn in 6th. Tiger in 7th, Natty in 8th, Andy in 9th, Ted in 10th, and Andy in, Cameron in 10th and Ted in 11th. Kind of sounds like the self-service machines in Tesco's or Sainsbury's or whatever supermarket you go to. Obviously I'm English, I'm naming English brands. But any supermarkets, you know, you've got the checkouts. Beep, beep. And you've got Slam shops in the UK. For those who know, Lidl and Aldi can't keep up. You cannot keep up. I got distracted now by the beeping noise. That's how quickly they scan your items. You're there getting your shopping, trying to put the shopping in your bag, and they're going beep, 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 beep. Everyone watching this, yeah, Cameron Kaboom's made a point in the chat. No one, you're not going to be able to unhear that now. I think I might just do the race replays from now on, just so we can hear the beep, 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 beep. Anyway, let's go up to your race winner. Dan Schneider will get a beautiful shot of his BWT Mercedes beating out the 2 cars in the background behind. Now that is a shot of the race winning car. I don't know why, but you know, let's get some shutter speed. Let's take the photo. Who knows? Dan might like this if he's watching. There we go. You can't even see the 2 cars in the background. Let's just, you know, let's move it a little bit. I'm getting distracted now on the photo. Getting distracted on the photo. If we go like that, lower it, bam, bam, bam. You'll see what I'm doing, guys. You'll see what I'm going to do. Let me zoom. Oh no, let's get the zoom back in. Zoom out, and then bang, bang, bang. Thank you guys for watching. I have waffled on a little bit at the end with the photography side of things. There we go, that's a shot. Your race winner, Dan Schneider, takes his first win of the season, makes himself the 5th different driver to stand on the top step of the podium in 7 races. That's how close and competitive this season has been. Only once have we had the same 3 drivers finished on the podium, and that was Finn, Tim and Bon Evil in Trial Mountain and Spa. Tune in next week for Tokyo Expressway, where I can't even express how much action will be at that circuit. It's so good that I can't even express how much the expressway will provide. We're at the east counterclockwise configuration of that circuit, where a hairpin is turn 1 after a straight that goes on forever. Stay tuned for that race. It's never failed in the past. Tokyo has always been a great track for racing, overtaking, and some drama. Can rain next week, but will it? Just stay tuned for round number 8 of this ever-changing GT7 season. Will Toussaint stay in the lead of the championship after that one? His gap, 24 points. He's got to just score 4 points to not finish in first place. Can Finn fight back? We've also got Tim gaining on the front pack as well. What can Tim do to upset the front runners? Bon Evil, Piero, Tiger, still within a mathematical chance of winning this. Although realistically, some might say it's down to the top 3. With races and points available, reducing every week, 4 races to go. It's starting to rack up in a couple of notches. Stay tuned. It's a race you've got to watch. I've extended the outro longer than I would have hoped for, but I think it's worth it. I've been X-Energy, and goodbye.